Thank you for having me here. As Ms. Lula just said, I am Evangeline Hundley. I'm running for South Carolina's 5th Congressional District, and I'm running against Ralph Norman. All right.
You got it.
Who in here is from South Carolina?
No.
Well, actually, on my way in, I met some gentlemen. None of them were from South Carolina, but they all hail from here. So, yep, just want to know who's in the house, because right now, as I'm looking up here across this board, I see something very important, and that's this form right here. Voter registration, right? This form right here, and I feel like I'm preaching to the choir in here, right? I don't think there's anybody in here that does not vote, right? But this piece of paper right here, whether it's this paper or the phone these days with the QR codes, this is how we change things.
That's right.
This is the only power we have, right? We know we have a greater power, and we just got to hear all about that from our preacher poet. Yes, to God be the glory, and I'm so thankful that he's allowed me to be here today with you to share in this beautiful moment. Guys, I pulled up. I'm so impressed. This is incredible. I grew up a Baptist, born and raised in Newberry. Silver Street was where my church was. We didn't do this. And I do have history now to know that this is relatively new, because back in the old days, I heard it wasn't quite like this, even to the point of not having power. So I am impressed, and I love it so much. His family, his community is everything. So we want to keep everything good. And right now, guys, we are fighting a battle of our own making.
Yeah.
So while I can stand here and tell you about all the great things that we are currently doing because of the Biden-Harris administration, I want to tell you that we can't continue that unless we keep Kamala in office and have a Congress there to back her up.
Right.
Because no presidency can be successful without its Congress. And so we don't want her to fail. And we want to see the fruits of the labor, because there have been some things put in place that are transformational for us as a people, as a society, as a country, that we can't see yet. And we can't feel it yet. And it's often after the work is done and you're long gone before people start to feel it, right? Well, I can tell you directly that there are some great structural changes that are happening right now that will continue to, if we maintain having Kamala to continue with what we've got going on, and then bring in her own new ideas that she's bringing to the table. But make no mistake about it, she is building on the work that she's already been doing. So when people want to say, what's your thing? What are you going to do? I just like the fact that she's going to continue to do what I'm going to Washington to help her with. Now,
That's right.
I will be representing 10 counties, and those 10 counties are York County, that's the biggest county we have. That's all of York, which I see a fellow York in here, Mr. Sam, and Reverend Sam. And then Lancaster, all of Lancaster, the whole county. So if anybody asks, is she in my district? The answer is yes, I'm in your district. All of Kershaw, we just left Kershaw. All of Cherokee, all of Chester, Union, Fairfield, Lee, and then most of Sumter and parts of Spartanburg, all the way up. So 4 of my counties border North Carolina. And what I'm hoping is the big wind that we have coming down with Kamala being at the top of the ticket will blow down just a little bit lower enough so it'll scoop me right up with it. Because I gotta go to be able to help her succeed. So in 2022, this isn't my first rodeo, as they say. 2022, I ran for Congress against the same guy. And my vision was to see the people in South Carolina be healthier, wealthier, and wiser, right? Well, that's still my vision. It hasn't changed. It will always be my vision to see the people in my state be healthier, wealthier, and wiser. So how do we do that? We have to protect Medicare. we have to expand Medicare, real Medicare, not Medicare Advantage. Because I'm sorry, Medicare Advantage is a disadvantage. And I understand the details in it and why you want to take advantage of something like that. But they are misusing a name that was meant for people who have worked so long and hard and deserve health care with no conditions. Advantage is private insurance, using the name Medicare, giving out a few perks to elderly who need the help. And so it's easy to see why you would go for that, but I want to be in a position to strengthen real Medicare so that there aren't any waits, there aren't any networks that you have to go through, and no denials of service. So that is one of the main things when I say healthy. I also believe that we are a country that should have health care for all. And when I say that, I mean free health care for all. I mean the kind of health care that other countries who are nowhere as near as wealthy as this country is, who are currently doing that for their citizens. Health care should not be some type of privilege. It's our right, just as much as voting should be. It is our right, but we're working on taking those rights away as well. So with healthy, we have to ensure that we have affordable health care for all until we can get Medicare or health care and a universal paying system. Okay, that will benefit us greatly. I will tell you that. The second thing is when I say wealthy, I'm talking about the fact that because we are a state that does not allow for our employees to negotiate with their employers, we are what they call a right to work state. I call it a right to work for less state, meaning that they can choose what to pay you because we are still under the federal law of $7.25. Okay, while we know some employers pay a little bit more than that, they are not obligated to. So one of the things I can do until states like ours become union friendly is make sure that working people start at $17 an hour. And it doesn't even reach the living wage here in South Carolina. Does anyone know what that is to live? In my district, which is all 10 counties averaged out, for a one-person household, what would it take for you to live and pay your bills comfortably? Minimum of $21 an hour. That's the cost of living. So already you're battling against a cost of living that's not changing and steadily going up. And your pay isn't going up to match that cost of living. But the rents are going through the roof. And housing and to be able to afford it is going through the roof. So when I say there's plans on the table to attack and deal with these things, we got plans on the table to attack and deal with these things, but we need the numbers in Congress to make it happen. So in wealth, we want to increase the minimum wage. And we also want to put back that child care tax credit. We want to make it permanent. That adds more money to a parent's pocket who has to pay for child care, which is ridiculously high these days. So that's another way. And paid family and medical leave. That if you have to take care of a parent, or if you fall sick, that you don't have to worry about the fact that you're not going to get a check that week, that you can have paid family and medical leave. So those are the things I mean by making us a little bit wealthier. Also in the wealth category, there would be small businesses. We want to invest in small businesses without the barriers that we as a people have always had to go through. I'm going to tell you, I'm a realtor and I'm a residential builder. I will be 20 years old as a residential builder next year. So I know the barriers and the hurdles that you have to go through to get anything to happen. And a lot of my work when helping people become homeowners was going through the hurdles for them, going over the hurdles and teaching them how to do it. No is not an option. It's how do you do it? So I would spend a lot of time helping people who never thought they could be homeowners come from public housing to home ownership. So it happened through what? The product of good government that was available through the USDA, FHA. All of these things come from the federal government. So that is one of the things to build wealth is home ownership. So we want to create more homeowners and invest in more small businesses where you can go to the bank and they won't say no. But we're gonna break down those barriers, okay? So that is on your wealth side. And when I say wiser, first thing is universal pre-K. We have to have that to start our children off early because they're already super smart coming out, and we want to help direct that, do STEM teaching, and help them understand that they need to be really adept in sciences and also arts, because arts is where it's at. I remember when that was really deep in our schools. I understand they don't really have a lot of those outlets as much anymore. So we want to definitely build on that. So when we talk about also wiser, I want to free public college education. Right now, I'm dealing with this young man who's working with me. He attends Winthrop College. His name is Derek. He's a senior graduating. And his major is in media. And so that being said, I asked him, what's your biggest concern? Is how am I gonna pay for it? Is where am I gonna work? So when you think about that, we wanna set them up for success and not for failure. Carrying a load of debt in which you spend the rest of your life paying it off. So I just say, release that debt again, like every other industrialized country. We're the only ones, the stuff I'm talking about, we the last to do it. But we have all the power and the ability to do it. We're just always the last. So free public college education, because it's gonna come back. It comes back into the economy. It comes back every single day when you work. So I think that that is very much needed. So let me see, wiser, we got universal pre-K, and we have free public college education. And I think that those two would go a long way in helping us to be a wiser country. So right now, like I said, we are fighting against forces that are bigger than any individual one of us, but together we are stronger than any force that is against us. But we cannot do it individually. We can't sit out on this election because, guys, this is serious. No matter what all I said about healthy, wealthy, wise, none of it's going to happen if we don't have a democracy. If we do not have this place that we call America, that's supposed to be land of the free, home of the brave, I give us that. However, if we don't invest in the people that help build this country and change things around by not trying to take rights away from me as a woman and as a voter, I'm gonna tell you, this is what we're fighting for right now. There is a plan to do it. And South Carolina is leading the way. If you've heard about Project 2025, let me explain to you, you are living Project 2025, and it can only get worse. And what I mean by that is there are people that are making concerted efforts to ban books in our schools. They're turning over our school boards. They are really, really wrecking education right now. And how does that happen? How does any of this happen? Because we're not voting. And so, like I said, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but the choir has to go out and sing right now. And sing to the people to say, you don't have a choice. Do you like anything about your life? Because all of it will change if we don't get out and vote. It's real. It's happening. And we'll wake up the day after and say, what happened? That's how I felt the day after when Trump won the first time. What happened? No, I think I cried for a week. Honey, did I even come out the house? Guys, this is my husband back here. His name is Ronald Hundley. I love him. I cannot do it without him. He's my biggest supporter, always with me, holding it up, holding me up, and my stuff. But yes, we love our country, willing to make this sacrifice of giving myself to it, because I intend to be a servant leader. Not a leader who serves herself, but a leader who is there to serve. That's why we're there. And so I got to see some changes in my state. That I am so sick and tired of being what? Sick and tired. But we don't have to be. We can be hopeful. We can have what we want by the power of what we desire and how we vote. People need to understand what you have and how you live is a direct reflection of if you're going to the polls or not. All you gotta do is look at the blue states to see. They don't deal with Moms for Liberty, people who go in and take books out. They wouldn't have a chance in a place like that. They have health care, some states, that are already covering all their people. They're not waiting on the federal government to do that, but I'm going to fight for these states that are not willing to do that for their people. So we have a lot of work to do here. And with the change of guard, things can really come to fruition and start to happen, but it can't just happen at the top. That's me. I'm talking about Carmel is actually, the very top. Then I will fall under her on this ballot. But here is where the action is. These ladies, the Senate and the state, Yoki, which is I know now is about to say Yakima, but Yoki and Nicole are how it's really gonna happen on the state level. But we together, working together, oh wow, I'm just excited to see what can happen around here. And I think you should be too. But be excited enough to drag people to that poll if you have to. And I mean, one, and then you go back and get another one, and go back and get somebody else. But right now we gotta get them registered before October 6th, because that's the last day to register, unfortunately, in this state. But when we can pass those voter right acts that are on the table right now in Congress, guess what? We might even be able to have same day registration, like other states do. Yep, and you hear this stuff about the Republicans, meaning Trump is always talking about the drop boxes and the vote isn't fair and feeding everybody a bunch of nonsense. Well, in fact, the safest way to vote is like they do in Washington State, I think it is, or I was going to say Oregon, where it's all mail-in. And it is the safest, the most, I guess, untainted. It is just works very well. So I don't see why we all can't have that. Anyone who tries to limit a way to vote, you already know. It's the same thing that's been going on. It's suppression, suppression, suppression. I'm tired of being suppressed. And I'm tired of seeing my people be suppressed. We don't have to be. But it's the youth that we know we have to really, really push. But I don't think so. They're kind of pushing us right now. So I'm happy about that. The guy I'm running against, y'all, he is the 19th wealthiest person in Congress. 435 people. That's way up there. It's a David Goliath situation. And I don't mind that. It's a matter of maybe prefer. So at this point, he was born with a gold spoon in his mouth. I won't say silver, I'm just gonna come on up to gold. And if it's gold, you don't have a clue. And I will tell you this, not personally, because personally, there are people that around where we live, up in the York area, that kind of like him a little bit, that know him, but by far there's more people that say they don't, but they still seem to vote for him, right? But I got news for them, and this is what has to get out. He votes no for you. Yeah. Every single vote he takes. He voted no for the PACT Act. That's veterans. Veterans who were hurt with toxic waste and things over in a foreign country. He voted no for their health care. He voted no for the Infrastructure Act. He voted no for the Inflation Reduction Act. He voted no for the rescue plan. He voted no for veterans. He's voted no for children's supplemental food. He's voted no for everything. The list just goes on and on and on. And one lady in an event I went to said, I just started looking at his votes and I can't believe this. This is the thing. You gotta believe it, but you can believe it by the fact that you don't feel a lot of things that you should be feeling right now. You should be, well, we see what's going on the roads, so we know that some money's getting spent out there, right? But it's the unseen and the unknown, and the only way we're gonna untangle that is from the state level all the way up. Now, when I'm up there, I'm gonna be on them like a hawk, coming down, on top. Where's the money? Where's it going? Okay, and that's my job. Then I'll link up with these ladies. Where's the need? Where are our needs? And how do we get that through? How do we reach these people that we know there's resources for? And that's so frustrating, guys, to know that there's resources that we can't get to, that we need. So it's serious business. I'm not here to play. I need us to vote like we have never voted before in our lives. If we could cast 2 votes, we could. Oh, we'd be accused of what? Fraud? We wouldn't do it. It's just not in us to do it. So I just want to thank you again. Yes. Yes, for having me here. Thank you for that. And I enjoyed meeting you guys, and I look forward to being your representative. And I really hope that you take to heart that it starts at the state level. And I just saw someone walk in who I'm really rooting for over here, and that's Mark Fanning as well. So you'll hear from him. Thank you.